I think it's working. I think it's working.
Right, mine's moving, so that's good. The counter's
exactly.
going up on the GoPro.
Exactly.
I think we're all set. Right, I will do the audio. Could you clap as well for me?
Of course.
Beautiful. You've done that before, haven't you? Well,
we are 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, once or twice. Folks, we are up and running, and this week we have Schaaf. How you doing, bud? You all right?
Yes, I'm very fine. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, great. All good, mate. All good, all good. Looks like we're getting through the dreaded C word. So, yeah, let's see what happens. Right, thank you very much for coming on board with this, mate. I really do appreciate it. Have you seen any of the podcasts at all so far? Do you know how it goes?
I've seen TMF and 44 Teeth, actually.
Beautiful.
So I guess I know how it goes. I think it's like it's questions from your patrons first or something like that.
That's right. Yeah. I post up to say who's coming on, and then people post up all their questions across all the social media pages, and we just work our way through it and see which way down the rabbit warren we end up going. And that's that. And generally, as long as you're fully armed, have you come armed?
Oh yes. Yes, the only problem I'm having, this is my only can actually.
Yeah, but look at the size of it.
Once this is finished, I will switch to this, which is basically it's Austrian booze. It's an Austrian specialty, and I can't even translate it, to be honest. It's like made from some sort of pine cone, like mountain pine cone, and it tastes as if you were like sucking out a pine forest. That's what it tastes like. It's very special.
Wow. I'd stick to video editing, mate, and don't be a booze connoisseur. Right, well, let's crack on.
Yes. Wait a minute.
Beautiful.
Yes. Bruce?
Slange. Prost.
Cheers. Prost.
Oh, beautiful. Not bad for a Friday morning. Right, well, folks.
Yeah, and wait, before we start, if anyone wonders, actually my hands are shaking not because I'm a raging alcoholic, but because I just finished my workout, so that's why I'm still a little bit shaky.
Finished his workout, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. I finished my workout about 1996, I think, was the last time I worked out. Never mind. Right, folks, if you aren't aware who Schaaf is for whatever reason, well, I wouldn't know why you'll be watching this, but Schaaf, I'll hand it to you, mate. You describe, who are you and what do you do?
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's a good question, isn't it?
That you caught me by surprise now. Who am I? I will ask this question, I will ask myself this question like my whole life probably. No, I'm doing YouTube and Instagram, obviously all around motorcycles. I've been in it for a while. I mean, my channel's actually from 2006.
Wow.
But I started doing like the more serious video stuff in 2013. On Instagram I do pictures. Most of them are my so-called moto selfies, where I'm like doing selfies while riding. That sounds like a bad idea. Sometimes it is.
I've been there actually. I've witnessed it.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So there's that, and on YouTube most of the time actually, and that's also what most of my subscribers are waiting for. It's my onboard videos. It's like the most simple thing ever. I just record my rides on beautiful roads with nice bikes. But once in a while I do like more creative edits. Like for instance, when we're doing a trip in Spain with Toro, and then I usually will do some sort of best of edit, which takes a lot of work, and none of my subscribers are interested in that actually.
It's infuriating, isn't it? The amount of work that goes into it, and they don't get anywhere near.
It is, but that's like, this is what I do. I would say for myself, for my joy. Actually, I mean, making those it's no joy at all. Actually, I hate editing, to be honest.
Do you?
Yes, because it's editing videos is basically making decisions, and I'm very bad at making decisions. So why I would choose this as a way to spend my pastime, no idea. But I'm doing it now for quite a couple of years, and so far I don't intend to stop. So yeah, that's me, I guess.
Yeah, your onboards. I mean, you're certainly the envy of me and a lot of other motovloggers I know, because as you said, how simple an idea just to record the engine noise as you ride, and it is incredibly popular. I mean, folks, I'll put a link down below, so if you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. If you're watching a YouTube vid, have a look at the description. There'll be a link to Schaaf's channel and his Instagram obviously as well. But if you pop to his YouTube channel and have a look at these onboard vids, they're amazing. And if you can, check out these compilation ones that he does, because I mean, I'm not blowing smoke up your... This is a British term. Blowing smoke up your arse.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I know. I've spent enough time with you Brits by now, so
So I'm not just saying this because you're here, but I am genuinely a massive fan of your editing. Those little best ofs you do, they blow me away, because I know the intricacies and the time that must take, and it blows me away, mate, what you do. But anyway, so check them out, folks.
If your followers want to check out anything, please check out the edits. Like that's where I pour my heart and soul into. The onboards, that's the daily business, I would say. But the edits, there are a couple of them. Please, if you want to watch something, go and watch these.
Do you have a set playlist on your channel? Do you have a playlist of just your edits?
I actually have. Yes,
okay.
I have.
Right, I'll put a little link to them as well, so you can check out the channel. But I'll put a specific link to the playlist, the edit playlist. Check them out. And then if you look at his Instagram, you'll see these selfies that Schaaf was talking about. They're pretty damn impressive. They're not your normal GoPro selfies, so check them out.
Thank you.
And also, as well as doing all your own stuff, you also work for 1000 PS. Is it 1000 PS?
Yes.
Yeah, 1000 PS,
yes. Yeah.
Which are
very, very odd name.
Very odd. Yeah. Now are they Austrian or German?
They're Austrian.
Austrian. So they are probably the biggest motorcycle online. What would you say? Online magazine
in the German speaking world.
In the German speaking world,
actually,
yeah.
Yes.
They have some English videos up on YouTube, but they also subtitle their videos in English as well, I believe.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, well worth checking that out as well. So, well, that's a little bit of a background to you. How about we crack on with questions and then just see where it all takes us?
Yes, wait, I just have to prepare myself.
Good man. Nah, they're normally quite easy going. Apart from...
Yeah, no, let's go.
I've just seen the second question, and it's Pete English. He always does a very, very deep question. First one. Right, folks, we're going to go to my Patreon, the only time I'll mention it. Over to Patreon. If you're not there yet and you fancy supporting the podcast and the channel, fire over to patreon.com/TeapotOne. First up, David Hemmings. To both of us, out of all the bikes you've ridden and reviewed, what's been your favourite and why? Over to you, because I am a mere minnow in this sea of reviewing. Up to you. Over to you.
I think it's one of the most asked questions I receive, and I know the answer is very disappointing to most of the people, but I do have a favorite bike, and that's my own. That's my old Honda CB500 PC26. For me, that's the best bike in the world, obviously, because it's my first and my only bike.
Right. Yeah.
But from the bikes I reviewed, it always depends on the situation or on the occasion. If there is a best sports bike, there is a best touring bike, there is a best, naked bike, whatever. But what I always like to mention here, because it's rather surprising to some people, is that last year when I rode the Indian Chieftain, like the fat touring cruiser, that was my first big V2 cruising bike, and I was curious, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm going to like this. And actually, I absolutely I loved it. I could not believe how much I enjoyed it. Yes, because it's the only bike which kills my need for speed at all. Like with this bike, I'm fine with riding at a slow pace, listening to music, or maybe listening to the engine, whatever I feel like. And for me, I've been riding back then. It was, I think, 10 years of motorcycles. And this was the first time when I did not feel any kind of pressure, because I do feel some kind of pressure on the bike because I want to go fast. Every time I ride, I want to go fast. Yeah. And on this bike, it was completely gone. And so, I can't say it was my favorite bike, because of course, when I get back onto a sports bike, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But still, it's the most surprising one. And so I always like to mention that.
Mate, I totally get what you're saying there, because I have just started doing, not work, but I've just started taking some Harley Davidsons out.
Oh, yes.
There's one over in Guildford. And I'd never ever ridden that style of bike before, and I honestly thought I would hate it. But I was exactly like you. I jumped on the great big street glide. It's like a limo, isn't it? It's massive.
Yeah, it's wonderful, yeah.
And I just thought it did exactly what you said. It took the need for speed out the equation, and I was just, for the first time ever, I was happy just to be on a bike and enjoy being on a bike. And I'd never ever felt that way before, and it surprised me. Every Harley I've ridden so far has been like that. I keep thinking, I can't enjoy this. I can't enjoy it. It's not allowed. But I put my hand up. I enjoy riding a Harley.
Yeah. But the thing is, I hope you will get the chance to ride Indians at one point.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah.
Because the thing is, I'm not sure, because this year actually it's been only 3 weeks. Was my first time ever riding a Harley. Right. It was a road glide special or whatever it's called. Also like a massive bike. But basically it was exactly from the same category as the Chieftain I rode the year before from Indian. Yeah. And I'm not sure, because it's been a year, but from my memory, the Indian was it was superior in every aspect.
Was it?
Suspension, brakes, engine, everything.
Wow.
But I don't know if it was just my excitement back then, or if it's actually the truth. Yeah. So go ahead, try to get some Indians. That sounds weird. Try to get some Indians.
Let's not go there.
and please tell me if I'm wrong or right, because to me it felt like the Indians really are the better cruiser bikes, like the better motorcycles.
For me, I do think looking at the sort of the Indian range next to the Harley range, I do think the Indian's a better looking range, for me. But then I think the custom Harleys, some of the custom Harleys are, in fact, any custom bike can look absolutely amazing. But I've seen some custom Harleys that in the flesh that look absolutely beautiful. But the stock ones, I would say Indian's better looking. You mentioned there about your 500, your CB 500 being your favourite bike. Why is that then? Is it just because it's your bike?
Basically, yes, because of course it would be probably the only bike where I have some sort of an emotional connection. But I honestly think it's not that, because it's more that I still believe that for this kind of money, you cannot buy a better bike. All right. If you need something like a bike that basically does everything, it is okay to go fast-ish. It is okay to tour with it. You can use it as a commuter, and you will like mine did cost 1,500 euros.
Wow.
And it's been going, and you cannot destroy it basically. Like the engine is bulletproof. They don't have any I don't know what's it called, weak parts or anything.
Points,
they have no exactly. And so I still genuinely believe, like, for an all-rounder, it is the best, like the most bike you can get for the least money. And they still are around. Like, they're old, they're getting older, and they will, at some point, they will slowly disappear. But they're still, right now, there's still plenty around, actually.
Right. That's interesting, that. I mean, I don't have any experience of like older bikes really, and smaller bike, dare I say, smaller engine size bikes.
Yeah.
I think I rode the KTM 390 Duke when that first came out back in 2015, 2016. And then apart from that, I think the smallest bike was my GSXR 600, and then I've
okay.
you know what I mean. So I've got no experience of the smaller type of bikes. Out of the ones that I've tried so far, David, to answer your question from my point, I think my favourite bike so far, apart from obviously the best bike in the world, the BMW R1250 GS, apart from that, it's going to be another Beamer for me, and that's the S1000RR. Just because I come from a sports bike sort of roots. The Gixxer Thau was my bike, and I never thought that would be beaten. But the new S1000RR just blew me away. I absolutely adored that bike. I mean, it's totally inappropriate for me. I'm 20 stone, fat, 6'3". It should not be the bike for me, but I really loved that bike. And that bike cost me my job. That the review of that bike is effectively what made me resign from the police, and that's changed my life. So I owe that bike a lot because it made me.
That makes sense. Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's put me on this
Mm.
path now. So I would say S1000RR for me. Right, Pete English. Now, Pete has a bit of a reputation for these questions, so get ready for this one. Oh, another deep one. Oh, here we go. Should prisoners with full life sentences be given the chance to end their life rather than live out their days locked up and costing tens of thousands to keep them locked away? Wow, Pete. Jeesh. That one came out of left field, didn't it?
Oh, that's... I don't know if I'm intelligent enough to answer something like this.
We might need something stronger than this before we start on that one. Wow.
No, it's really, I think, like, I'm my knowledge in all, like, regarding all of this, like, topic is non-existent, so it's difficult to actually give a decent answer. But I would say, or let's say, I always said, I mean, for me, like, a death penalty is horrible because, like, just like it's murdering people. No matter what he or she did, it's murder. Like, you kill them, and I think no one has the right to kill anybody. And also, I also would say, like, I think it's by far the more severe punishment to keep somebody in prison his whole life. I thought, like, that's the worst thing that can happen to you, basically. But then, of course, I got older, and I realized exactly this. Oh wait, they do cost a lot of money, like tax money. Yeah. And so, that's. I mean, hats off for that question, because that actually is very, very tricky. But I still would go with keep them in prison and give them time to think about what they've done, basically.
I agree with what you're saying there. I kind of think there's two sides to my brain. The emotional side, someone that goes out and does horrific things to people or to children, and if there's no doubt whatsoever that it was them, they absolutely did do that, then the emotional side of me is just like, just end them. Why are we wasting our money on keeping them alive in prison? But on the other side of it, there's one side in that, as you said, I think keeping somebody locked up for an extended period of time is a far bigger punishment. I actually have a friend now who is in jail as we speak, and he's in jail for a long time, and I'll not go into the background behind it, but I know that person and I know what they're going through, and it is utter torture. So, I think in a sense of a punishment, then yeah, being locked up for a long length of time is probably the maximum punishment you can inflict on somebody, really. But yeah, then there's the economic side of it. It is costing a lot of money, but then you can take that even further and say, well, you need prison officers to look after these people, so there's jobs there.
That's true, yeah.
There's cleaners for the prisons, there's jobs there, you know, and there's everything else that goes around it. There's another booming industry all around it, which again puts money into the economy. So I think it's just a necessity in life, really. And if we're to sort of maintain this balanced and developed society standard, which I hope we hold in the first world, then yeah, I don't think it's right for us to go around putting people down like animals. Yeah. It's a difficult one, definitely. Need a lot more of this. Cheers, Pete. Thanks for that.
Or something different, actually.
Absolutely.
Something which inspires creativity more.
Maybe we should do the next podcast in Amsterdam.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm up for that. So.
Oh, are you? Yeah. Well, let's do that then. One day we'll do it. And enough of that. Ollie Rye, to both of us, if you could ride any road in the world, what would it be, and what would your bike of choice be? Any road, any bike.
Any road, any bike. The problem is that I actually haven't seen too many roads so far. I mean, of course, in northern Italy, I've seen a lot of them. Now in Spain, I've seen. Not Spain, Andalusia. I've seen a lot of them. But from what I've seen, or from what I know, let's put it that way. Actually, it does not really matter which road you choose in northern Italy, because there are so many tiny ones, which are how the Italians make roads, like how they put them into the landscape, you know, instead of, I don't know, using an insane amount of explosives, and instead of digging tunnels and everywhere, they will just make like little strips going alongside the mountain wall, the rock wall. It's hard to really, I can't really pick a favorite one, because I think my most favorite ones were like roads that don't really have a name, actually, which just connect one village and another village.
Right.
And because you can ride for half an hour, like only twisties on super grippy tarmac without encountering one car.
Seriously?
And yes, and also on these roads, you know that you can go as fast as you like, basically, because never ever is there going to be a police control on a road where you have like 5 vehicles passing by in an hour. I mean, that doesn't pay off. You can't do speed checks there. They would have to be there for like 2 days in a row to have enough tickets, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, it's the best riding I had. It was northern Italy.
Wow.
These mountain roads, and I'm not talking about the mountain passes, which are more or less known. I'm talking about when you go to, I don't know, like Belluno or something like that, and you have like really tiny roads going up into the hills. For me, that was the best riding, because I was not worried about traffic. I was not worried about police. So basically, like, you know, you enter this flow state and you keep going for really half an hour maybe without stopping, without thinking.
Wow. I think you've probably just spoiled northern Italy, because everyone listening to that is going to head there as soon as they can. I've done the passes, you know, the standard bucket list passes. I've done them, but I've never explored around northern Italy and these back roads, and well, that'll change. I'll definitely do that for sure.
No, it's really, it's so crazy, like this combination when you have, like, they're usually, what I enjoy most, it's like basically like 1 lane roads. It's like there are only one like car width or whatever, you know, like just 1 lane, very narrow. But mostly they have very grippy tarmac. And so you have these super tight corners, like really super tight, like basically almost first gear corners. but at the same time super grippy tarmac. So you go relatively low speeds with insane like lean angle, and it just works because there is so much grip available. And like this feeling when you're especially on a you know, like on an adventure bike, which is like super easy to ride and rather agile actually, you just go like, and it never stops. You know, it's insane. I mean, I don't know for how long this will be possible because, you know, with all the laws and everything, riding motorcycles is not getting better. Let's be honest.
No.
And so. Yeah, as soon as the Corona thing is over, you probably should go.
Yeah, get it out your system. It's interesting you said that about riding motorcycles isn't getting better because, like, Germany used to be a big favourite of mine. I used to love going there, but I've just found Germany and now France, believe it or not, the police there are just becoming more and more and more restrictive on what you do on a bike. And I've always advocated not speeding in villages and towns, you know, built up areas, keep the speed down, save it for the open road where, you know, you've got the vision and it's safer. But they seem now, again, a bit like Switzerland, the police seem to be targeting the roads where bikers go to enjoy themselves out in the country, not in towns and villages, and they're out there and inflicting massive fines. The 44 Teeth boys, you know, the fine they got 12,000. Was it 14,000 euros, £12,000 I think it was. Was his fine?
It was something insane, but I mean Switzerland is insane when it comes to that. But you know, they basically they did manage to achieve what they wanted to achieve because in Switzerland nobody is speeding. That's it.
Yeah.
But actually, it's rather funny because in Italy you have laws which are very strict as well, and the fines are like insane.
In Italy?
But that's what that's what I'm saying. When you're on a small road which connects like nowhere to nowhere. Honestly, who's going to stand there in the bushes and wait for you? No one, because it doesn't make any sense. Of course, if you're like on the famous mountain passes, you have to be careful. They will put speed cameras there, and if they catch you, like some of these mountain passes, they have like a limit of 50 kilometers an hour or something like that. So you go by there doing, I don't know, 150 if it's a straight, and like there's no danger or risk involved, but so you will do it. And of course, I'm not sure about that, but maybe they are even allowed to take your bike from you.
Yeah,
I think this could be the case in Italy, actually.
Yeah, I know in Switzerland they do, don't they? They can seize your bike there and then. Sheesh. Unreal. I haven't answered that. For me, from the roads that I've tried so far, there's a lot of really good roads, but one that really stands out to me for lots of different reasons. I'm trying to remember the road number, but it's in the Picos in Spain, and it's on, if you look at my videos, the trip videos, the Picos trip videos, it's day 3 from Navia down to Leon, and it's right towards the end of the day. I think it's something like the L411 or L511. There's this, as you just said there, it's a backcountry road, but great tarmac. It is a mixture of insanely fast sweeping bends, really tight corners, you know, hairpins through the mountains and through valleys, and it's like a roller coaster. It's up and it's down, and if you get it on a nice day, it is without doubt one of the greatest riding experiences I've had. And everyone I've taken down that road on my trips, we stop at a little lay-by, and every single person is hollering like a schoolgirl at the end of it, you know. And I've had people get off and kiss the tarmac, and it's mint. It's beautiful. Yeah. So day 3 of the Picos trips, check out that vid. It's towards the end. It's the one where we all stop in a lay-by and see how good that road is. It's that one. Well, what would your choice of bike be then for the Italian mountain twisties? What bike?
Well, the good thing is the roads are so tight that actually you don't need a lot of power to have fun. Very, very difficult one. I mean, from the... I want to choose something I've actually ridden, obviously, because I know there will be plenty of bikes which must be great fun, but actually I haven't tried them. You know what? Actually, I actually think that I would have an insane amount of fun on a 790 Adventure from KTM. Actually, yeah, I think this would be a great choice for roads like that. I mean, actually, it's not the 790 Adventure is not the most agile bike. It needs a bit of force on the bars, but you know it. You get used to everything very quickly, actually, and once you like forgot about this. It's super stable. It has just the right amount of power for like road use, and you can ride it so hard without unsettling it.
Right.
And like even for my standards, I'm not going that fast any longer. Like to push it beyond its limits. And actually, it's a rather cheap bike. I mean, it's not cheap, but you know, like when you compare it to like the upper class things.
Yeah.
It's rather like also the components are not very expensive. Like it has no adjustable suspension. I mean the standard model. But for me it was one of the biggest surprises, like in the adventure segment actually.
All right. I've not ridden a 790 yet. Yeah, I hope to take that one.
Yeah, I mean it's ugly as fuck. That's for sure. But really, like you know, I don't see the bike when I'm sitting on it, so I don't care.
Schaaf, often the ugly ones are the most fun to ride.
I don't know. I never tried.
Right, bike choice for me. Cool. Everyone's gonna hate me because I'm gonna say the GS, but I mean it just does everything. It just does.
Yeah, it does.
Absolutely everything. You know, we've done it down in Toro where you go out and do these amazing, fantastic roads, and then push a button. Go off the road and you go down a track and it'll cope with, you know, general off-roading. In fact, it'll do fairly serious off-roading if you know what you're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing. But I mean, the GS just does everything. You can cart everything with you. You can take it on the track and, you know, grin your nuts off. You can have a whale of a time. But I know people get sick and tired of me saying the GS. So, out of everything I've ridden for mountain twisties, for the road that I said there in the Picos, probably I would say the Tuono. You know, I had a 2014 V4 Tuono, and it's a pig. That bike was a pig at slow speed in towns, but get it on the open road and get it under drive, and it was phenomenal. I would say the Tuono.
Yeah, it's for me it's the most impressive. Like I mean it's not naked by definition, but for me it's the most impressive naked bike out there.
It's that noise, that engine, just the noise of that engine alone. Oh,
it's that, like the noise is insane. For instance, I don't get it. How is Aprilia able to create a noise like that and Ducati is not? I don't know. Like the Ducati Street Fighter is a stunning bike, but the sound is like, if you compare it to a Tuono, I mean.
Yeah.
But also the suspension, like the way how the suspension on a Tuono feels like if you have a factory with Öhlins, it completely blew my mind. It's such a, I don't know have the right words, but I would say it's like a satisfying feeling to ride it. Actually, it's great.
I've not ridden the factory Tuono. Well, I haven't ridden the new Tuono as yet. And I was going to ask you, you've ridden the Street Fighter, haven't you? The V4.
No, unfortunately not.
Oh, I thought you had.
I only filmed it.
Oh,
I filmed
right.
it, but I didn't ride it. That's why I know about the sound.
The sound. Yeah, I'm trying to get out if Ducati ever get back to me. I'm trying to get out on the V4 if I can and have a shot at that Street Fighter because I think it's the best looking at the moment for me. I think it's one of the best looking bikes out there. So I'd love.
Yeah, it is very, very, very beautiful.
I'd love to take it for a spin. Right, next question, Michael Maguire. What's your view on Austria? There we go. Austria beginning to ban over 95 decibel bikes. Do you know about this? Austria is bringing in the sound limit.
Yes, because right now we are like it's all over the German-speaking bike world. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it because that's probably a video on its own.
Right.
But to make it clear, it's not like Austria banning loud bikes. It's the state of Tyrol, and in that state, it's like one region on, I don't know, 6 or 7 roads. And they introduced a limit, like if you have a bike that's louder than 95 decibels, but while standing still, then you're not allowed to ride those roads any longer. And of course, it's completely ridiculous because some bikes, they will have like a volume level when like being in idle, which is actually louder than 95. But when they actually start going, they're not loud at all. For instance, I think a Honda CB 650R, like the naked bike, that's a rather silent bike actually. But when it's like standing and idle, the engine is in idle, it's too loud. It's 97 decibels. So, how the noise a bike makes when standing still, and you measure it from 50 centimeters, that has nothing to do with the noise a bike creates when riding. 1250 GS has I think 88 decibels when it's standing still and just the engine is just in idle or whatever it's called. And we all know that 1250 GS is incredibly loud actually as soon as you pass the 4,000 ref mark.
Yeah, I've had it trigger the noise limiters on track when I've taken my 1200 GS to one of the racetracks to do the California Superbike School Day. I took my 1200 GS and it triggered the trackside noise limiters.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. And so the law is completely ridiculous because like they will not get rid of the problem. Instead, they will punish people who should not be punished actually. They have problems with tourism because of Corona, and now they will lose even more tourists. I mean, it's not a lot, the bikers, but still some. And so, yes, we are hoping that they will change the law to something which makes more sense. But, we all know politicians, it's probably not getting better. So, yeah.
And how are they going to monitor this? Are they going to have like people doing stop checks for sound monitors? That's the thing. They just stop you, take a look at your the bike's registration papers or whatever it's called in English, and there it has like the noise level written inside. And if it's more than 95 decibels, you're out. That's insane.
It's insane.
That's ridiculous.
At least they could at least measure it, because here in Vienna, where I live, or in Lower Austria, that's like the state which surrounds Vienna, they do like measurements. Like they take a look at your papers and then they measure to see if the level is what it says in the paper. Yeah. And if it's like exceeding, if it's like 4 decibels louder than what it says, they will fine you. If it's 12 decibels louder than what it says, they will take your license plate. And I think that makes sense because you obviously have modified your exhaust. But the way they do it in Tyrol, it's ridiculous. And there is a wonderful detail about this. The Austrian police, since this year, they are using big multistradas. And the multistrada is 102 decibels. So they can't use their police bikes on those roads any longer.
Love it. Oh, that's fantastic. You couldn't make that up. See, we now have, here in the UK, they've been trialling noise cameras. So like a speed camera, but it has a noise, it's got a sound level in it. Yeah. And it's the same thing. There's only in a couple of places. They're just trialling it. So if they have put them on popular biking roads. So, folks, if you're watching this and you don't know about it, Lumi's calf on the A272, right at the crossroads there is or was one of these sound cameras. And yeah, if you go by and you trigger it, then it takes a picture of your registration and you automatically would get a fine in the post. But at the moment, I don't think they're fining you. That it's just a trial. So they basically just send the letter to say, you've triggered the camera, you could get a fine. But yeah, there's all sorts. I think they also have. There was something they were talking about bringing in over here. Is the cat's eyes that you get in the road? Do you know what the cat's eye is?
Yeah.
They were talking about putting cameras in some of these cat's eyes, so they're speed cameras built into the road. So I don't know.
That's mean.
Yeah, I don't know if that is happening or has happened or what's going on. But it was an idea at one point. It's that I understand where there's an issue. If there's an issue with speed, with casualties and all this sort of stuff, then I can understand it. And that certainly used to be over here in the UK. That used to be grounds for them putting up speed cameras. Was an area where there had been a lot of accidents, and the causation for those accidents was excessive speed. Then I can understand that, but it just doesn't feel like that anymore over here. It feels like it's a revenue generator, and that's what's getting on people's goat, particularly over here.
I mean, I want to add this because with the volume thing. I totally understand the locals because like on a sunny nice day in summer you must go insane.
Yeah,
and definitely. I myself I am against loud bikes actually. I think it's not necessary to have a super loud bike, but the thing is you can have a loud bike as long as you don't rev it when you're going through a village or through a town. And also when you like exit the town, like wait for a couple of hundreds of meters before you hit the throttle. And like if you do this, then most of the people will be fine. But obviously, now we have this stupid restriction in Tyrol, but the stupid idiots who like rev, I don't know, with like near the limiter going through the village, they will still be around if their bike is less than 95 decibels. So it's.
I'm sort of grinning here because I'm right in the middle of editing my review that I did of the Harley Fat Boy. I took a Harley Fat Boy out a week or two ago, and that had a stage 1 Vance and Hines exhaust on it. It was just insane. I couldn't believe this thing was legal, and the entire video I'm riding along going wham, wham. So I really am sorry if anyone was living in those villages that I went through. I am that idiot. I do apologise. It sounded amazing, but I heard.
I
did a couple of ride-bys, and I'm just at the point in the video of looking at the ride-by footage, and it's obscene. The noise of that bike is just ridiculous. So yeah, no wonder it gets some looks. Neil Hamilton, we'll move on to that one. Which mountain pass in Austria would Schaaf choose to ride and why, if he could only do one?
It's actually quite interesting because in Austria, it sounds odd to say that, but actually we don't have that many mountain passes in Austria when you compare it, for instance, to Italy. In Italy, you can go from one pass to the other and do nothing but mountain passes a whole day. In Austria, you can't really do that.
Can you not?
And no, I mean, you can ride nice roads, but like there will be a mountain pass, then there will be towns, villages, some twisties, and then there will be another mountain pass. It's a bit different, but I would say if I can only choose one, I will actually take the most popular option, and that's Großglockner. So it's because it's a privately owned road, like some of our mountain roads are. So you have to pay actually quite a lot of money to use it. But yeah, I mean, I don't really care because the road's in a very good condition because of the money you pay. So they always take care of it, and the views are impressive. I mean, the tarmac could be grippier, but it's good enough. But you have like hairpins and so many of them, is the word radius? You know, like the you can do them with like the outside one with, I don't know, something like 80 or 90 kilometers an hour. So like they are wide.
Wow.
And like these corners are the best corners to ride.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have plenty of those on Großglockner, and you won't find a mountain pass in Austria which has like as many as Großglockner has.
Wow.
And so I would say, even if it's like a very obvious choice, I would say yes, Großglockner.
Okay. I've never done it. On my world trip, sorry for mentioning it, I went to do the Großglockner, and I got there and they'd shut it because they were doing roadworks.
Oh,
I was like,
shit!
no.
Yeah.
So I have to go back and do it. How much is it? How much is the toll?
Oh man, I can't even remember, but I'm pretty sure that you will have to pay something close to 30 euros for
30
a bike.
euros.
I mean, you can use it. Yeah, you can use it the whole day.
Right.
And if you go like on the next day again, you have to pay like less. But still, I don't know. Maybe it's even more than that. I can't remember because it's been a while. But no, it's very expensive for sure. But since you're not doing it like, I don't know, 10 times a year, I never mind. You know, it's like I don't have a lot of money, but if I would start worrying about that, honestly, I should not be riding a motorcycle.
All right, so Großglockner it is. Yeah, I need to go down there and try that. I haven't spent that much time in Austria.
Just tell me, and I'll be your guide.
Right, you're on.
A shitty one, but I'll be your guide.
You're on. Let's do it. Honestly, I'm up for. Don't say these things to me if you don't mean it, because I will turn up at your door going, "I'm here."
Yeah, that's all right. As long as you don't do the same thing with the India trip. Like, okay, I've got 2 tickets. We have to go tomorrow.
Well, you know. Right, David Bucholtz. What does Schaaf view as the main differences between the bike markets in mainland Europe compared to the UK? Are particular sectors more or less important, and if so, which ones? Do you get that?
Yeah, I got it, but I have no idea about the bike market in the UK, so I can't answer that.
I was just thinking that as I read it, yeah. Okay, in the UK, well, here in the UK, I know that the big sports bike market is real. Oh, thank you very much, dear. Thank you. Mrs. Teapot's brought me another beer. Fantastic.
Good service.
She's a good girl, Mrs. Teapot. I know here in the UK, the big sports bikes, so the 1 litre, 1000cc sports bikes in particular, that market is almost dead. You know, there's not many sales in that sector at all. And even generally, I would say the sports bike market, there's nowhere near the sales that they used to have. Yeah. But conversely, the smaller CC market is booming, is doing particularly well.
Okay.
So what's going on over in Austria?
Well, I wanted to ask you first. Do you know what is like the most popular bike in the UK? Like, which is the one which gets sold the most, like in a year? Or
I think it's the GS 1250 GS.
Yeah, because it's the same in Austria.
Yeah. I mean, it's hands down. I think it's second worldwide to the little Honda Cub. You know, I think the wee, is it the 110 or 110cc or whatever it is, or the 90cc Cub. That is the best selling bike in the world, but you know the GS is not far behind it. After that, I don't know. I don't actually know.
No, I also I don't know the statistics. I mean, I've seen them a lot of times for Austria, but I can't remember it. The only thing I do remember is that I know that, for instance, the Yamaha MT-07 was a huge success. Yeah. And because basically I have the feeling that every beginner that wants to get like a decent sized bike, which doesn't start with the, I don't know, A1 or A2 thing, or even if they start with A2, they will buy an MT-07. It's really, you see a lot of them riding around town. And so that was a big success. Also the Kawasaki Z900 was rather successful. but I don't know. Like I'm sure that some KTM models were rather successful just because of like the local bonus, basically. But other than that, I wouldn't know. I mean, people in Austria in general, they love their adventure bikes or travel enduros. I would say if you're like on a bike meet, like a place where you have like hundreds of bikers, I mean that could be totally wrong, but I would say at least 50 of them are like from the adventure bike segment, actually, like expensive ones, cheap ones, everything, but just like long suspension travel and
same here. I think back in the sort of 80s and 90s, it was everyone was on sports bikes. You know, it was you wanted 1,000cc 1 litre sports bike. That's what everyone went for, wasn't it? But those people are 20 odd years older now. So plus, the adventure bikes have got almost the same performance as a sports bike for road speeds. And they're comfortable. You know what I mean? There's a massive difference there from being, what it's like when you got clip-ons and you got high pegs, and then all of a sudden you can stretch out on a big adventure bike. So, you can understand why they're so popular. Right, I can't get away from GS's, Schaaf. It's just GS's come up in conversation constantly. If only I got commission for GS sales. Oh man, it'd be amazing. Right, Richie Vida. Richie Vida's on here.
Hi there, Richie.
There we go. What's he saying? I make a point normally of not reading through the questions beforehand because I want a genuine. Do you know what I mean? Like
That's dangerous.
Well, yeah, I want a genuine reaction to them, and it does make me nervous when I see names like this show up. Richie Vida, has Schaaf, in all his years and miles of extensive riding, ever ridden with a greater, more handsome, more lovable, more metrosexual bunch of lads as he does on the annual Vlogger Toro Fest trip?
Finally, that's a rather simple question to answer, and I'm quick to answer it. No, I haven't.
There you go. We love you too, brother. We love you too. It's a good giggle, that. It's become like an annual thing now, isn't it? Like
it's so great.
Yeah, it's a good giggle. We started it, folks, if you've not watched any of the vids, we started this last year, I think we went down, and there was a whole load of us went down. Normally, Lotte, Two Wheels and a Ponytail.
2 Wheels and a Ponytail,
yeah. So normally Lotte comes with us, there's Schaaf, there's me, Richie Vida, TMF, Lamb Chops, and we all go down to Toro with Lyndon and basically just hoon it for 2 or 3 days, don't we? We have a scream. So we did it again this year. Lotte couldn't make it, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a good crack, wasn't it? And again, your edit video, the best of from that, beautiful.
Thank you.
I've still
this time I managed not to crash. So
yeah, that's right.
That's a success.
Last year you were doing the old selfie thing, weren't you? Yeah. Didn't end too well. I still haven't edited any of that footage yet. It's on my list. I just haven't got to it. But anyway, cheers, Richie. Thanks for that question. Gary Taylor. Schaaf, after your big crash on the on your big crash on the Africa Twin, I can remember you listing your many injuries, some life-changing. Are you still suffering any after effects, as it doesn't show in your riding? I forgot about that. You had the big massive crash, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it does show in my riding, but I wouldn't even say it's hard to tell, but I think if you're used to go at a rather touristy and slow pace yourself, then maybe you won't really notice it. But what I did is I reduced my lean angles quite a lot. Mm-hmm. I reduced the speed. I enter lean a lot. And I reduced my speed in blind corners a lot. And I also improved my riding line, which is not the fastest any longer, but it's more safe. Yep. I see more, and also I'm better prepared for any hazards or maybe, I don't know, other road users like cyclists or people like that. It did change. I agree it's still too fast probably, but still it's definitely more a bit more reasonable than what it was. And injury-wise, I mean, interestingly enough, now in Corona times, I have to be considered like a member of the risk group, because because I lost one kidney, but more importantly in this case my spleen. And I, like every doctor said, you don't need a spleen, like that's no worry.
Yeah.
But still it apparently it does support your whole immune system.
Does it? I didn't know that.
And yeah, it somehow does. I mean, also the doctors back then told me, no worries, other parts of your body will actually take over and more or less replace the function of the spleen. And you know, I feel fine, but still, when it comes to infections and I have like bad luck and it's a bad infection, like a serious one, then I'm in big trouble. But you know, it's a risk I'm willing to take because the risk is not that high. And I just don't want to live in fear, you know? And so really I say it's better to have one good year than 50 shitty ones, honestly. And but apart from that, as long as I don't think about the fact that I'm running on one kidney only, I feel better than I did before the accident, actually, because I started to do more sports and everything. So I can't say that I'm suffering from any issues or anything like that, apart from the mental ones, but they have nothing to do with the accident. So
yeah, how have you found that then? Because I mean, I entirely agree with what you're saying there. After you have a big crash, it does impact on your riding for sure. Yeah. I used to ride around, and I used to be told I was quick, but in my head I used to think to myself, I'm totally in charge here. I'm totally in control. Yeah. I can react. I can deal with anything that's coming around here, because I always did. Anything that happened, I managed to react to it. But then that one time comes along where you don't react in time, and it doesn't end well. And all of a sudden, I was faced with I'm not invincible.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't got this. I haven't got this nailed and in the bag. Maybe there is room for improvement. And I had a horrendous 2 or 3 years where I just seemed to have accident after accident, all commuting in and out of London. And I think once, maybe twice was my fault, and 3 weren't. They were just freak accidents. It's just what happens. And I just found myself now, I'm probably overcautious, whereas before I wasn't cautious enough. I used to think I was, but I wasn't, and now I do exactly what you're saying. You know, I brake too much, so I'm too slow coming into the bend, and I find myself having to speed up. You know, but better to be safe than sorry. Absolutely.
No, of course, but it's also for me like I'm just like mentally I'm just not able to do what I did before, because just like you were saying, I mean, I wasn't thinking that I'm invincible. For me, it was, I always told myself when I like hopped onto the bike and went for a quick ride, it was like, okay, this could be my last ride. But you know, sorry, it's actually easy I mean, it's not easy to imagine yourself being dead, but it's easy to think of it like either you're fine or you're dead. But what I didn't do is to think about everything that lies in between. Like, for instance, ending up in a wheelchair and stuff like that. That's the thing I never thought of. And that's what the accident made me think of, made me realize that, oh shit. And that's why, like, the way I used to ride, when I watch onboard videos I did in 2016, that was a year before my crash, honestly, I watch these videos and I myself cannot believe that the footage is not sped up. I think like how on earth was it possible to ride like this? It's unbelievable, but I know, I just flipped the switch, and I also have to admit, it was one of the best feelings I ever had.
It's a drug, isn't it? It's the best drug going.
It is a drug. It is a drug, and I am not able to feel that any longer. It's still great, but it's not the same. Like, it's not this rush that it used to be. But that's also why I try to, look into different aspects of riding. That's also why I try to start riding off-road and stuff like that, because that's where nowadays I get a rush. But as long as I'm going somewhat slow, okay, there's a risk of me, I don't know, breaking my leg or something like that. But the chances, I mean, shit can happen everywhere. But still, I feel better about it, because usually when I crash, for instance, doing off-road, it's me basically falling over, and that's it. It's embarrassing, but it's not dangerous. Or not, let's say it's not as dangerous. Of course, once you get more experienced and once you go quicker, then it will be again rather dangerous, because there's stuff you can hit and fly into, just like I did with that tree. But still, I just try to find ways where I can feel something similar, but not from this insane speeding thing, or insane riding. And I think it's working. I mean, I said it. I would say I'm still too quick, but then also I've reduced these quick runs down to like my video runs. Not because I want to prove something, but if I do an onboard video, I'm my biggest critic, and I only enjoy watching an onboard video if the guy's riding properly, like, revving the bike a little bit and shifting through the gears and stuff like that. And so that's when I ride quicker, because I enjoy watching it. But still, I try to do it in a somehow decent manner. And to be honest, with modern day sports bikes, with the big ones, I'm actually I'm fighting this fight with my, conscience, basically, because I'm like, if I twist the throttle on this thing, I'm doing speeds which are not reasonable. So I'm always like, trying to find this compromise, and it's difficult actually. So whenever I'm on a small bike, I can enjoy that a lot easier than a big super fast bike.
Yeah, I get that. In your videos, are you ever worried about the police seeing your videos and using it against you?
I always say that I am prepared for the day. I mean, I'm not prepared. Let's say I'm waiting for the day that somebody watches my videos who better not watch them, who should not see them. So I'm always saying I'm doing it as long as I can. But if one day I can't because of obvious reasons, then I'll be like, okay, fair play. I had my fun and that's it. So yes, I'm thinking about that, but there's nothing. There's nothing really I can do against it, if I'm unlucky, and this is it. Yeah,
I mean that's exactly what happened to me. It's actually a colleague of mine. It was another police officer in the Met Police in London, put a complaint in to our professional standards, and that's effectively. It's not the reason I'm no longer in the police, but I was placed under investigation whilst they looked at it, and they basically turned around to me and said I can't ever do any more videos, I can't do anything online anymore to do with bikes. And for me it was the old saying, the straw that breaks the camel's back. It was just the last resort really. I was like, you know what, YouTube, the vids, the whole community thing I get from doing this, the feedback off of everybody and meeting people like you and just the world it opens up to me, that means way more to me than a job. So it was an easy decision for me to then leave, and I'm in a very fortunate position that through support of lots of different people I'm able to make this a viable income now. So
that's awesome.
It's almost like it was almost like losing or being forced to leave the police was the best decision I've ever made. So, thank you very much if you're watching this for putting a complaint in. But it's definitely on my mind. It definitely is it's on my mind more now than it probably was before, because I do think to myself, well, it's happened once, it can happen again. So I try not to put myself in a position where someone could look at my new stuff and look at the riding and go, well, that's dangerous, or it's excessive speed. I might go a smidgen over the speed limit, but I'm not like careering by it at stupid speeds anymore on camera, obviously. So what else? You said something earlier there about you can take some of the risk out of riding, but you can't take all the risk, and that's entirely true, isn't it? You know, if you were that worried about eliminating the risk out of riding a motorbike, you'd stay at home, wouldn't you, or just ride a car?
Yeah, exactly.
And as you said, life's there for living, isn't it? Live your life. You've got to get out there and make the most of every day. Get the old blood round the veins. Cheers, Gary. Thanks for that question, pal. It's a good one. Paul Jai, for both of us. He'd like some advice. Quite often when I ride, I see things in the road that I need to avoid. Potholes, deep drains, sticks and roadkill, etc. No matter how hard I try to avoid them, I nearly always hit them. Any tips on how to train my mind to avoid those obstacles? That's the old adage, isn't it? You go where you look, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's actually fine if he's able to write that message, because that tells me that he actually doesn't hit those things. So it's practice, and you can basically only practice it out on the road. But there is one very interesting thing I discovered a couple of years ago, because I was playing Mario Kart with my friends on the Nintendo 64, and I don't know, are you familiar with that? Do you know the game?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not that old, Schaaf. I'm not that old.
Yeah. I mean, there was
I'm
Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo
games
already, so. When you have to pick up those question marks containing the weapons, I realized that this actually, I mean, I wouldn't say it's training, but you do manage to get them when you look at them. And it's actually, it's crazy, because I did not think that it would work in a computer game as well.
Yeah.
But I somehow, I probably was not stoned enough, because I made this realization that actually when I really focus hard on like, if I just aim at that one question mark I want to hit, I will hit it, no doubt. And as soon as I let go of this focus, the mistakes happen again. Right. So I mean, this is not the most useful tip, because I'm saying, you can only practice this out on the roads. I'm sorry, or maybe not. Maybe like an instructor will tell you something more intelligent, but I'm not an instructor. So you can try Mario Kart.
Yeah, practice with Mario Kart. Yeah. But it's true though, isn't it? It's true. You go where you look, and that's always something I've heard about on motorbikes. So if you're coming up to the bend, you don't look in front of the front wheel. You're looking round the bend as far as you can see. And that's something that we used to get taught in the police. So the police driving was, and it's road positioning. You put yourself in a position on the road where you can get the maximum vision round that corner.
Exactly, yes.
So you have the maximum length of time to react to anything that you do see.
Yeah.
So yeah, Paul, with regards to things like obstacles in the road, just in your peripheral vision, or even of your main vision, if you do notice them, look for your way out and concentrate on that way out. And it's amazing how the body will accommodate that, and it will almost guarantee it will put you down the path that you want to go down. Yeah. And
I mean, I get it, because it feels weird when you start to practice it, to like really practice your like where you look. It does feel kind of uncomfortable. But really, you will. For me, like I had this experience. It was like my first years of riding. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was year 3 or year 4 when I actually started to do the like look where I want to go and really look far into the corner. And I was never scraping my pegs back then, And then I was like, okay, now I will ride those twisties and I will really, really look far into the corner, like as far as I can see. And the third corner, I was scraping my pegs, just because it was crazy. I was going so fast all of a sudden. And, I actually like felt like my riding was comfortable. Even I mean, it felt weird to me, but I could tell like my riding was super solid all of a sudden without me actually doing anything. Like I was just focusing on my look. Like where am I? What am I watching at? Like what am I staring at?
Yeah.
And so it like this immediately improves the riding because it feels uncomfortable, but really, like you were saying, your body, your mind, they will do the right thing. Like they will respond accordingly, or whatever you say. Oh, actually, wait, yeah.
Is that your GoPro stopped?
Yes, but
is it overheated? Mine sometimes overheats.
I don't know, maybe because it still has like 30% battery. That's weird.
Yeah. Mine's done that before because I have like a proper big studio light kind of next to the GoPro, and it's quite cool here just now, which is fine. But if the temperature's hot outside, the GoPro overheats with that light next to it.
Yeah, I will start it again
No problem.
because the other one is still running.
All right. Beautiful, lovely job. Right, we're back in the room.
Let's see how long it lasts.
Blooming GoPros. Right, Peter, my mate Peter. Peter has the impossible surname. He's actually written it down. I always get Pete's surname wrong every single time. It's pronounced. He's written it out for me. Hamidzadeh. Pete Hamidzadeh. There we go. I can do it. Awesome. Question for Schaaf. It must get so boring riding around in the mountains all the time. I don't know how you cope. Do you dream of riding or touring somewhere flat like Holland?
I sometimes do dream about going to the Netherlands, but it does not involve riding.
Love it. What do you mean? You're going to look at dikes. You need to put your finger
yes,
in.
and like I'm a big fan of tulips actually, like those lovely flowers. And that's,
I got you.
That's the only reason why I would go to the Netherlands.
Mate, you need to come over to the UK, and I'll take you riding in the southeast of England. You'll love it. It's flat. There's no mountains, and there's nothing but traffic everywhere you go. It's horrendous. Pete's also got another question. What has been your perfect mix of road and bike together that gave you an experience you'll never forget?
Without any doubt, that was me doing Vietnam in 2015. I mean, some people wouldn't consider it bike because it was like a Honda Wave, semi-automatic scooter. But I wanted to ride like the locals. And up to this point, it still is my best, and for especially like my most intense motorcycle memory that I have. So that's actually an easy one for me. Like this trip I did like basically south to north. I mean, I went from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi, and I had a couple of moments which really I still, up to this day, I consider as the best moments in my riding career so far. So, yeah, I'm glad I can answer that.
How long were you there for? How long did you spend?
I was actually only there for 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, I was doing an internship before that. I saved some money, but I probably was just not brave enough to stay for longer, because actually I'm a rather, I mean, it doesn't really show on the internet, but I'm rather insecure and like socially awkward. And so all I could think of is, okay, I'll go there, inspired by the Top Gear episode, obviously, and I'll do the trip, and then I will fly back home. And actually, I did most of the riding in 2 weeks, and I spent like 5 days on an island in the north, Kappa Island, for a bit of rest, which was very nice, because at some point riding a scooter will it will get onto your nerves actually, and it's also it's also rather painful, like in your butt area. And like then there is like a couple of days left where I stayed in Ho Chi Minh before I started. So probably really I was not brave enough, because like money wise it was no problem. It still is, but back then it even more so, it was very cheap. And but still definitely by far the best memory I have on two wheels.
Yeah, it's somewhere I'd love to go. I'd love to go and do Vietnam. Absolutely. Did you have to sit a driving test to get like a license?
No. That's a funny little detail actually. I rented 2 different scooters. I mean, I did almost all of the trip with one scooter, but then at the end of my trip, I rented another one because I had to send the first one back to Ho Chi Minh City, like with the train. I put that on a train and they send it back to the rental place. And I rented another one, and they at the scooter place, like that was a proper touristy place, and they were like, yeah, we need some kind of deposit. And I was like, because I mean, that's a story for another video, because at that time I didn't even have my passport with me. And I was like, yeah, I don't know, like what I don't have cash or anything. But then I was like, I was taking out my driver's license, and I was like, I won't need that, right? And they were laughing at me, and they would accept my driver's license as deposit. So that tells you, everything you need to know about the license thing.
So insurance, don't worry about that. Yeah, awesome. Oh well, it's definitely somewhere I want to go. I definitely want to go and do that. I always assumed that you'd have to do the driving license thing, driving test thing.
No, it's I know the Top Gear guys did that, but for me it was never an issue. And I got stopped by police. But
did you?
I mean, it was back then. I was with a local guy, so I'm sure obviously that helped. But still, at no point they wanted to see any sort of license or anything. Like, so I don't know if it was the local who played a role. Honestly, I don't know. But I mean, I remember back then I even got like this international driver's license. Yeah. You can take your license and go to like these places, and they will give you an international one, so that like they will understand your license and what it allows you to drive. But yeah, that did. I mean, it was cheap, but still, I would not have needed to do that. It was completely unnecessary. Nobody wanted to see that. So.
Okay. So what was it about the Vietnam trip that made it such a sort of memorable experience? I'm pretty sure it was more or less down to the fact that this was my first big travel, and before that I never left Europe really. Right.
And also like the most intense moments I had when the local guy I was riding with for the first couple of days, and the plan was actually to do like the whole trip with him, but then at some point we decided to split up. And as I said, I'm really insecure and everything. So like I thought, okay, this is the end of the world. I cannot do this trip on my own. So after 1 hour of like coping with myself and the situation, I started to ride again. It was in the morning, and I was about to hit a couple of twisty roads like in the mountains. I was like way inside the country, like far away from the coast. And I was riding the bike, and then I realized like, hey, wait a minute, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like this is no problem. Like even if I have an issue, I will just ask someone and they will help me. And like this realization, while being, like surrounded by jungle and mountains and everything, like that, I tend to forget everything. I have a very bad memory. But this moment I will never ever forget it. Like this is burned inside my memory forever, for sure. So it's basically, I think it's down to like personal reasons why it was so great actually.
No, I get that. It's a very travel, and especially solitary travel, going yourself. Yeah. It's a really liberating experience in that you end up forcing yourself. You push what you think are your boundaries? What are your inhibitions? You're put in a position where you have to go against all that. You know, I'm the same. I was very shy beforehand, and I would do anything not to put myself in a position where I would have to speak to new people and I would be the focus of attention. And, you know, doing my trip, just flipped that on its edge, really. And now I love meeting new people. I love chatting with folk. I love getting up and you know, in front of a big crowd. I'm not bothered about it. I'll stand up and present to them. It doesn't bother me anymore. And it's very liberating to realise when you are in a strange place by yourself that if you do have a problem, you just ask and people will help.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's awesome, isn't it? It's just like, well, if something happens, you wait till somebody stops and someone will know what to do. Someone will have an idea, and it might not be the instant solution to your problem, but it's something, and you just go with it, don't you? You just go down what path that'll take.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Right, Andrew Scott, you're a cheeky bugger. Next question. It's not even a question. He's just said, Schaaf, has Bruce told you about his Patreon? He doesn't usually mention it. This is from Andrew, who is one of my patrons. Cheers, Andrew. Thank you. Right. Thank you very much for that, folks. All you folks over on the clan. Cheers to the questions. We'll now move over to Instagram. TeapotOne Insta, if you're not following that. Schaaf, what's your Instagram?
It's a turbo Schaaf. Like it's Schaaf, but with a turbo or turbo in front.
That's it. Turbo. Yeah, turbo.
Turbo.
That's it. Turbo Schaaf. At Turbo Schaaf. Again, folks, there'll be links down below for all the socials. Right. Who do we have here? Flow Speed 24. Now, people get quite personal. Do you find that? People can get very personal on social media.
Yeah, of course.
I've been lucky. I don't get too much abuse. I don't get too much hate. Occasionally you get it, but I don't get overrun with it, which is awesome. Thank you. But people will ask quite sensitive questions, don't they? You know, they think it's okay just to be very personal because you open up to them.
Yeah.
Well, Flow Speed 24 is asking, how's it going physically and mentally? I think I remember he had a deal of financial work and heartaches. How is everything? It's up to you if you want to answer. If you don't want to answer, don't worry.
No, that's fine. I mean, for me, fortunately, it changed these days. But for me, it used to be easier to open up to strangers on the internet than to like people I know.
Well, we're all friends here. We're all friends here.
No, actually, I'm very like these days. I'm very. What's the word? I don't know. Like I carefully choose what I tell people and what not, even if they don't really get the impression. Because I have no problems with talking about very personal stuff where most people would be like, "Oh my God, I can't say this in public." But then again, there are some things I would not share. But people will never learn about that, obviously.
Selective.
But no, it's so exactly. But it's no problem, and especially because like Flow Speed 24, I kind of remember him. I think he used to do YouTube himself, or maybe he still does it. I don't know. It was like the question was just about how I'm doing these days, right?
Yeah.
That's
how is
question.
Everything?
Yeah. I had like a rather, what's the word? Like I was feeling down, like in a very bad way over the when like at the end of the last year. I had like the first heartbreak in my life, and that hit me really hard. But yeah, I don't really like to say I'm over that, because it will always be in my head, and I'm also like an overthinking type of person, so I will always worry about shit. But all in all, I do feel the best I've felt since a long time, and that means like a couple of years actually.
Awesome.
So no, really. I mean, like I said, I realized that I will always be worrying about stuff. That's just me. But I'm trying to learn to live with it rather than suffering. And so now I'm also like wise enough to see that the path I'm on right now is a good one for me, or let's say, I'd even say like it's the right one for me. And so honestly, I can't complain at the moment. And
Awesome.
For me, that's actually rare to say that, but no, really, I can't complain.
That's cool. So I find myself, since I came back from the world trip, I've been on a roller coaster. You know, I've had really down time for the first couple of years. Really, being home was I really struggled. I found it really hard to get back to life in normality. And for me, I find it very therapeutic to do this. You know, to talk to people. Just to, and it's not something I ever would have done before. You know, the thought of talking even to my mates about stuff like this, I never would. But to talk to, you know, like share your mind and your heart online with complete random strangers, it's not something I ever thought I would do. But I found it really therapeutic because
no, I totally get that. Yeah,
you know, because if you open up to people, like generally people are very supportive back, aren't they? And you know, this has really helped me, to be honest, doing the whole YouTube social media thing. But there are arseholes out there for sure, so you just have to skim them off the top, don't you? Right. Well, there's a whole load of we love Schaaf here, lamb chops. He says, "Nice one. That's what we like. More balded, bearded people." Kate, username Kate. She was on one of my last podcasts. Username Kate.
Yeah, I've seen she was on. I didn't watch the whole thing, but like the first 20 minutes of it.
Well, this is
because I'm actually following her on Instagram.
Oh, are you, Schaaf? Right.
So I know her. Yeah.
Username Kate. This is all in capital letters. She says, "Yes, I love Schaaf. Fangirl o'clock." She's lovely, Kate. Good girl. Another one, Spratman23, hell yes, Schaaf fan for years. What's this one say? Das no Viking? Das no Viking? I'm not sure. More bald guys, bald guys the better. Fellow bearded bald dude here. I got both of your apparel, t-shirt and Schaaf stickers on his PC.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Here we go. Full Tonic DE. Question for Schaaf. If you had to go on a romantic wellness weekend with a male motovlogger, who would be your pick?
Well, you know, I try to be a very polite person. So since I'm on your podcast, obviously my pick is you.
Okay, that's very kind of you. After me, who would be your second choice? The romantic thing is, of course, kind of funny. And I also know Phil Tonic. He also does YouTube. He does, yeah.
And so I'm sure he has a good sense of humor. But still, I would cross out the romantic and say I would go there with Black Market because he is my favorite motorcycle YouTuber. He's a French guy. He's not very big. But I know him. I know him personally. I was riding with him, I think, 5 years ago, probably. I met him in northern Italy, and he is the most, he puts the most effort into YouTube. I don't know anybody who puts more effort into making YouTube videos while maintaining a ordinary 40-hour job.
Wow.
It's crazy. I have no idea how he does it, but he does traveling videos.
Yeah.
He bought himself an old Africa Twin, and he does travels. Like he went to Iceland and then he went to Morocco.
Wow.
And I don't know where he learned it, but he also learned to fix the bike and everything like that. But he's also very good at filming and taking pictures. and the edits he makes, like he basically sums up his travels, like he makes like episodes. Like I don't know, like the Morocco trip, I think that's more than 10 episodes.
Wow.
And he does it in French, but he actually will put subtitles. I mean, just the work, just the effort it takes to translate videos. I've done it myself in the early days.
It takes
crazy.
days, not hours, days.
Exactly, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so he does it all.
Wow.
And so really, like I have all the admiration for him, because like if I had like 10% of his motivation, I think I'd be somewhere else now. It's, to be honest.
What's his name again?
It's like you would call him Black Market, but actually he's written like BLKMRKT, I think. Like, you know, he's leaving out the whatever the letters like A, E, I are called. I don't know in English.
I'll folks, I will put a link to that, because people always ask whenever we mention other people, other channels, that sort of stuff. People always asking about, you know, who was that person that you mentioned there. So in the YouTube video, so you'll need to go to the YouTube channel for this. Look in the description of this video, and there will be links to Black Market as well. So we'll send him some love as well. Hopefully.
Do that. Really, that's an honest recommendation. You like put it on your television, activate the subtitles and watch away. Like you'll be entertained for hours.
I look forward to it. Good. Well, if this man is saying it's good, it's going to be good. So I'll check that out as well. Got another one from Philtonic. It's from his missus, Red Renner. Do you like Marmite? If you'd like to try some, you can come to our house and have some.
No, I can't remember where, but I did try Marmite. Yes. I can't say I'm a fan, but also I wouldn't say it's like disgusting or anything, because actually it reminded me a lot of in Austria and Germany we have stuff. I mean, it exists all over the world. This Maggi thing, like it's also like some very darkish. I always say it's like Austrian soy sauce, basically, and you put it for it. Most people would use it. They will put it into their soup, right, to make it like to beef it up a little. Basically, it's just salt. But it does taste a little bit like Marmite. Okay. And so, you know, when I tried it on toast, I was like, okay, this is weird, but actually it's not a shock. But yeah, still I would say it's not something I would have for my for my own pleasure. It's like, okay, I can eat it, but only if I'm dying of hunger or anything like that. So
I'm a Marmite fan, I've got to say, and this might make people sick, but if you like Marmite, put a little bit of cheese on it. Marmite and cheese.
Oh, I actually I can. I believe you. I think that's actually a good idea. Actually, I should try that myself.
Absolutely. It's got to be done.
How I remember it tastes, that makes sense. That does definitely make sense.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right. Next one. Cheers for that, Philtonic. Cold Fever 4. Question from a 1%er. If Schaaf...
thank you very much.
If 1%ers, they're your ones that go all the way to the end of the video, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
More or less, yes.
Yeah. Question from a 1%er. If Schaaf won the lottery but had to pick either a Harley or a Goldwing for his free bike, which would you choose? And you get to keep the CB500 too. So Harley or Goldwing.
Yeah, since he's saying Harley and not Indian, I will pick the Goldwing.
Would you?
Yeah.
Okay. I've not ridden the Goldwing yet. I was just away to get the Goldwing, and then the whole Corona thing happened. Yeah. So I'm hoping to get a chance to throw my leg over the Goldwing. You enjoyed it, didn't you?
Best of luck for that, because the Goldwing is another eye-opening experience. I think it's the most like advanced technology you can ride. Like the way how almost 400 kilograms of bike can feel. It's absolutely insane. It's a shame that like you can't lean it down very low. Like it has its limits when it comes to lean angle, because the pegs will scrape. Yeah. And next thing I think is the engine, and that is not going to end well. But really moving a Goldwing, for me, it's like It feels like I almost can see like Japanese genius engineers, and this is like their masterpiece. That's what riding a Goldwing feels like to me. But if it were between like an Indian and a Goldwing, that would be very tough.
What would that one be then? What would be the choice there?
That's not the question.
It is from me. Right, fast fella. I like to live dangerously. I comment on his videos before I read the description. He must be.
Yeah, well, wait, I have to.
Oh, you've moved on to that
since my
now,
beer
have
is
you?
emptied. I have to try to take something like this to our next Toro meet because you won't believe the taste.
Do you remember the last one we did? The last Toro one we did when
The chocolate wine.
Chocolate wine. That was from Pete English, the guy that gave us the question.
Oh,
about,
really?
Yeah. That was Pete. That
Yeah,
sent that through.
it was actually rather nice.
It was.
But it was like also something where I'm like, okay, if I have 2 glasses of that, the next day I will die with a headache probably. But
It was so nice, wasn't it? It was so easy to drink. We demolished the bottle.
it was
in about-
really, yeah.
Right, what else we got?
No, that with the description thing, yeah, that's well, it's okay. You can comment before reading the description as long as you say something which is not answered by reading the description, because then I will ignore it.
Or watching the video. The amount of times I get asked stuff about, let's say I do a video on a camera. And people ask questions, and you're like, that is literally in the first 2 minutes of the video. You plainly have not watched the video. Well, never mind. Grotfisk. Question to Schaaf. If I rode from Norway to his place, would I be able to trade a package of brown cheese for a sticker?
What's brown cheese?
I think brown cheese is like goat's cheese. Have you ever had it? That Norwegian goat's cheese they do. It's like it's amazing.
I mean, I definitely never had Norwegian goat cheese, but I like goat cheese in general. So I think that sounds like a fair trade indeed. So,
like the mid 80s to late 80s, my dad always worked in the oil, and he got a job over in, was it Stavanger? I think he was in Stavanger in Norway, but he was based over in Norway for like 5 years or so. And he used to come back on leave, and he'd bring with him this massive big square of this. It was like caramel, but apparently it was goat's cheese. It was Norwegian goat's cheese. You could eat it like an apple, it was amazing. So, Grotfisk, if Schaaf won't give you a sticker, come to me and I'll give you a sticker, no problem. Sorry, there's a couple of little sub questions in there, and I was just checking to see what they say, but they're not questions. They're just people asking what is brown cheese.
I'm glad I'm not the only one then.
Right, here's another one from my mate. Fulcher Mark. Is Schaaf planning a trip over to Blighty, and if Blighty's here in the UK? Are you planning a trip over to the UK in the future? Obviously after COVID, and if so, where would I take you for a run? Right. Are you planning to come to the UK?
Actually, no, but I don't have any plans at the moment. So I'm like, wow. Now that's actually, I'm surprised now. We've been talking for a while, and that's the first time I'm lacking the words in English. But no, it's not to sound rude. Like really, I don't have any plans. Mm-hmm. I do like the UK a lot because I mean, I've only been there 2 times, but I actually like you people because usually you have a very good sense of humor, and I appreciate that massively. And the thing is, I'm thinking about something which is on my list where I'm like saying, okay, this will happen in the next, I don't know, 3 years probably somewhere. I want to tour, like do like a bike tour for a week, and it will either be, and that's not UK, like Ireland, like Republic of Ireland, That is not UK, right? I'm getting my facts right.
Yeah, that's right. Southern Ireland,
like Northern Ireland is.
Yeah, Northern Ireland's
is,
part of the UK. Southern Ireland is its own country.
So it's either the Catholic Irish place, or I mean I feel home over there. So I've been to Dublin 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I mean I didn't necessarily enjoy the city, but the people were amazing. Yeah. Like I've never met so friendly people in my life before, like I did in Dublin. But it's either that or, and I think you probably will now tell me what to do, and I think I know your answer. Scotland. Mm-hmm. And
that's exactly where I was going to take you. If you come over, that's where I'll take you, up to Scotland. Mm-hmm.
No, I want to do that. Like I've seen, and honestly, I wouldn't really care if it's Ireland or Scotland, because I know that both will be super, super beautiful. But I would say more people like rave about Scotland. They say like, oh, Scotland, like the scenery it's a dream. But obviously the next thing everybody says is like, yeah, well, but the weather is shit. But,
so bring your waterproofs. Bring your waterproofs.
That's it. As soon as I have decent rain gear, I will plan a trip.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's exactly what I was going to say to you. If you ever do come and it's an open invite, you are more than welcome. I will take you to Scotland and we'll have a whale of a time over there. Wales, parts of Wales have got some cracking, some roads, some great scenery. There's places in northern England like the Peak District and Lake District. It's stunning. It's not as good as Scotland, I will say that. And then Ireland, as you said, the people over there, the crack is just out of this world, isn't it? It's an amazing place. And I keep getting told from Irish folk and people who've been over there riding that they're all saying you need to go and do, you know, like the Wild Atlantic Way up the west coast of Ireland, because they tell me there's like these mountainous parts of Ireland that rival Scotland, and I had no idea they existed. People have said to me, oh, look at this place on Google Maps, and you know, you zoom in and have a look and you're like, my God, this is beautiful. So I'm with you in Ireland.
Really, I actually did that. Like I went on to random places on Google Maps in Ireland, and I was like, okay, this looks very promising, actually. And so I'm 100% sure that I would not be disappointed.
It's
like, and I've seen really nice places by now, but still this is something else. Like this is nothing to do with the places I usually ride. You know, the mountains are super nice, obviously, but it's different kind of mountains, you know, different kind of landscape, and it's something in which I never rode in a place like that. I mean, actually this year I went to Wales for the first time in my life, but it was only 2 days because I was attending a Triumph event, and they have this Triumph adventure experience thing. Near a place which I can't pronounce. Like it's crazy. You know, I've seen like the language, and I'm like I had so much fun asking the local guys. Like, you know, I was pointing at this word and was like, can you please pronounce it? And they did, and I was like, okay, that's not what I expected.
Yeah, I know, lots of L's and Y's and all sorts. Yeah.
No, but I just got the tiniest of glimpse, and people told me that I have to go like further north to see the real beauty of it, because I was actually, I don't know. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, I flew to Birmingham, and then it was a 2.5 hour car drive. So I didn't go very far, but still, even that place was super nice, because for me, you know, like I said, it's something very different. You know, like the houses look different, the landscape is a different one. People are usually very nice, and just the pubs. I love pubs so much, because that's something we don't have in Austria. I mean, we are heavy drinkers, like serious drinkers, and we do have so many bars, and you would translate it as pubs, but I mean like a a pub in the UK or in Ireland, it's a different story.
Yeah.
It's something different. The atmosphere is different, and I just love it. I love the concept of like the British pub or the UK pub. I really like the concept, and we don't have it like that in Austria.
What I love here in the UK and in Ireland as well, particularly in Ireland and Scotland actually, is the pubs that you go to when you go in and people just turn up with an instrument. They'll turn up with a guitar or fiddle, a violin or accordion, and people just start jamming in the corner. They're not a band together. They just turn up and they start jamming. And I love the music. I love like the Irish country and the Scottish traditional music. That's brilliant, especially when the beer starts flowing, because you think you can dance then, don't you? And up you get. Somebody else here, Whiff71, they're asking, have you ever ridden in the UK and where? Well, you've been to Birmingham and you went to Wales, so UK tick. There we go. This is an interesting one. More Moto PLZ. More Moto, please. Please ask Schaaf who or what was his inspiration to start riding.
I would say like one person, and that was my brother. But I mean, can I call him an inspiration? It was just a thing, he was debating with my mother for I think a year that she would allow him to do like the moped license, that he's allowed to ride like the 50cc bikes, which you can ride when you're 16 years old. Back in my day, sounds like I'm very old, but back in my day it was 50cc. Nowadays, 16-year-olds can ride 125.
Right.
So he fought for that, and so it was clear to me that okay, I'm going to do the same thing. And so I did the moped license. I got myself an old Vespa, like a 1986. PK50, but with 102 cc's and everything modified, so it was very quick and very lethal. And but that's when I because back then at this time my parents actually got divorced, so the atmosphere at home was most of the time rather shit and depressing. But suddenly I had my own moped, so suddenly I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit, I'm out of here.
Yeah, your escape.
And so it was suddenly, yes, exactly. It was my escape, and basically for most of my life, motorcycles have been a way of escaping my troubles and my issues. And I think it's the same for many people out there. And so actually, like, and that made me realize, wow, this is wonderful. I definitely need to do the motorcycle license. When I do like my car license, I will also go for the motorcycle license. So you could say that like my brother is responsible for me starting the moped thing. And the second thing, it's like it's not one person, but it's just me being a kid, like I don't know, 7 or 8 years old. And when we, like, my mom is from Tyrol, like the mountainous western state of Austria, and so we would go there every summer to see like grandma and her family, and then we would also do like day trips. And like when we went, we often also would go to northern Italy because like my grandfather was from northern Italy. I mean, back then when he was born, it actually was Austria still, yeah, we lost that after the First World War. And unfortunately, or actually not unfortunately, I think it's better that the Italians are ruling over there because that makes things a lot nicer. And so we would go there with our old Mitsubishi van, and I was just glued to the side window watching like the bikers who were passing us. And also like my grandma, she was sitting in the front row. And every time a biker passed, she was like, "For God's sake, that's insane!" And you know, the more she freaked out, the more I was like, "Yes." and that's I think that's when I decided that bikers are like the coolest people on earth, and that's when I decided that I need to do this myself at some point. And I'm glad that I actually did it, although it didn't take long for me to realize that bikers are not the coolest people on earth. Like, actually, most of them are rather awkward fellas, but we have the same issues and the same passion. So if and especially if you then find like bikers who do YouTube or social media, that's the best thing to happen. Like, to spend time with these people. And I do sometimes think back of my last 10 years and saying, okay, many things went wrong, but I did manage to make a motorcycle license, buy myself a bike, and go for rides. And also, like, I went to northern Italy rather quickly back then, and so I was always like, yeah, but I did manage to do that. So that made me very happy that I like fulfilled my childhood fantasy.
Yeah, and then you look at all the opportunities and experiences bikes have opened up to you as well. It's for me, it's just like it changed my life. Getting a bike license and riding a bike. I was late in life. I was 33, 34, I think, when I passed my bike test, and it literally changed my life. It's changed me as a person, and it changed, undoubtedly changed what course I was taking at that time. And I love it. I love everything about it. Yeah.
No, I was thinking about that, just the fact that I'm sitting here right now doing this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, tell me, would you have told me about this a couple of years ago? I'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's happening. And also, I'm so glad to have something which, like, my life is revolving around. Like, to have this topic that basically defines a lot of what I am. Yeah. What makes me as a person. Like, motorcycles are a big part of my life. And the thing is, I'm even, I'm not saying that this will be forever like that, because I don't know what the future will bring. And maybe at some point I'll be like, I'll need to find something else, a new hobby. But I'm so glad that I had this for the last couple of years, and I'm so glad that, like, I basically found my dream job doing the social media stuff, and that I'm never bored. If I have a couple of hours to spend, I know that I will go out and create something. There's no doubt about that. There's no question about that. And to me, it's amazing when I spend time with other people, like with some friends. I'm like, how do they manage to survive without having something like this in their life? I don't know, but I'm so glad that I found this.
I find myself, I'm like that now, in that I find I need to be doing stuff all the time. And I used to be perfectly content to sit and do nothing. Just nothing. I could just waste time. And I think I can do it now. But the difference is, I'm not happy about doing it anymore. Whereas before I was just content. Now exactly. I'm like, I've got stuff to do. I could be doing this. I could be doing that. Okay. And I don't know about. I mean, you're a way better editor than me, and you're much more creative than I am. I find myself having to really. I almost have to emulate or copy what other people do to get my creative cogs turning. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah, but that's actually I would say that's rather normal.
Is it?
I mean, you need to get your inspiration from somewhere. Most of the stuff you can't come up with it yourself.
Right.
Like,
that's
natural.
That's kind of how I find it hard to start the whole creative process. But once I'm going, like you were saying, you hate the edit. Yes. You hate editing. I hate when you have to take all your footage. When you're bringing all the footage into the storyline and chopping it all up, I hate that bit. But then once I've got all the ingredients, I love mixing them together and creating the final bit. I love that bit, but I hate the first bit when you're getting everything into the. I hate that bit, getting everything into the pot. That's the most laborious and boring part for me. Is just going through, cutting out the bit I want. And then, like you say, you don't like the the part where you have to make the decision to leave bits out, making that choice. What do you leave out? What do you know? I actually do. That's a bit I really like, is that can I... how much can I strip to still tell the story I want to tell? And it's weird because your videos, you're like 7, 8, 9 minute long, your videos, you know, your big edits, aren't they? When you...
Yeah, well, depends, yeah, but...
And mine used to be like 30, 40 minutes long, and now I'm trying to make them 15, 20 minutes. But I still think to myself, how can I get that below 10 minutes? And I'm in awe of you know, people like you and like Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, who can take content and tell a story concisely and efficiently in like below 10 minutes worth of footage. And I'm like, how have you done that? How? So that's what I'd like to be able to do.
But to be honest, if you went from 30, 40 down to 15, 20 already, you'll manage to do less than 10 soon. It's a, you know, as long as you keep on creating, as long as you keep on making stuff, you're also evolving, you're also getting better. And so I'm promising you that this is going to happen sooner or later. As long as you don't lose your drive to change things, to do things different, to improve things.
Yeah.
You know, it's for me. It's also I realize, you know, like the edits I did a couple of years ago, I thought they were great. But the edits I do now, even if less people watch them, because you know how the internet works, is crazy, but still I can look at them and then just the Toro thing, like my last edit I did, I know it's the best edit I've ever done.
It was
like
awesome.
when it comes to quality.
Yeah.
And thank you. And so for me it's very nice to see that there is a constant. There's a constant, like you're making progress as long as you don't stop. And also that's for me, I mean, that's very, I don't know, big words now, but for me also that's the only advice I can give people is to never stop, because that's what helped me, or that's what got me where I'm now. I just didn't stop. You know, I don't have any advices which are smart except for just don't stop, just keep on doing.
Yeah.
And it's very hard if you're like an overthinking person like I am. But in the end, I was lucky enough that in some situations, my life circumstances were more or less forcing me to keep on creating stuff. And that's how I never stopped. And that's how I, you know, like set up a YouTube channel in 2006. And basically I've been fiddling around with videos ever since.
Right.
And that's how you, that's how you achieve stuff. Yeah. That's how you manage. You don't need to like sit down and try to learn certain things. I would say you just do whatever you feel is right. Watch others, get some inspiration, but most importantly, like just keep on doing. Keep on creating, keep on making. Yeah. Never stop.
Yeah.
How did I get here? I have no idea.
That's what I love about this, though. It's conversation, isn't it? And I just love, I love how natural conversation, like podcasts. It's just you and I sat down having a chat, or stood up having a chat, isn't it? And I love that. It's just there's no real set path. We just go wherever the conversation takes you. And it's weird that this format has become so popular, isn't it? Podcast. Do you listen to podcasts normally?
Oh yes, I mean not often, but yes I do. And also actually rather recently I found out what a nice thing to listen to, like podcasts are. Suddenly I look forward to take a train journey for 1 hour because I'm like, there is this one video I want to watch or listen to, and that's exactly what I did. For instance, with the 44 Teeth one, I had to clean up my apartment like big time. It was a mess. But I just turned on the podcast with 44 Teeth and listened to the whole thing. Yeah. And the cleaning thing didn't feel like work to me because my mind was listening, and I was just doing the manual labor next to it automatically. And it made me, because I have a hard time sitting down and like like I don't know how to say, but like enjoying stuff. Like for instance, I can only read a book when it's nice outside and I can lie in the sun while reading it, because like I have like double the profit, you know. Or I can only watch a TV series when I watch it at night with my girlfriend, for instance, something like that. And it's the same with podcasts. I only listen to them when I'm doing something else, but at the same time, I'm thoroughly enjoying them. And it's with my work, I usually, if we don't have a pandemic going on, I'm traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm actually looking forward to the flight, because I know, oh yes, I'll be listening to a podcast when I'm on a plane.
I'm exactly the same. Absolutely, exactly. That's how I got into it. People had always told me about podcasts, and I just thought, I'm not interested in that. I've got too much to do. I haven't got the time for it. And then when I started, when was it? It was last year, year before. I started taking public transport in and out of work, in and out of London. So I'm on the train, and I just thought, well, I'll just try one of these podcast things. So, you know, you just turn it on. Time flies by, doesn't it? Before you know it, an hour's gone by.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, crazy.
Exactly.
I love them. It's just it's so different to normal social media, because normal social media, you're limited to how many characters you can have. YouTube, you're trying to get everything as short as possible. You know, bang, in, concise, get it done, both, because people haven't got an attention span. Podcasts are like the total opposite. These go on like 2, 3. Joe Rogan's done like a 5-hour podcast before. Yeah. You know, and it's crazy. It's crazy that it's so popular, but yeah, great. I love them. Anyway, right. How are you for time? Are you okay for time?
Oh yes, I would say I could do a little bit more, like a couple of questions, maybe. Okay. I don't know, 20, 30 minutes, something like that would be fine, because I need to get some nightlife going on, because otherwise I'll be sitting at home on my own and I'll be crying.
Oh, are you allowed?
And I always
go on. Sorry, go on. What were you saying?
No. Yeah, no, and I actually made this mistake before, because this is actually only the second time I'm guest at a podcast.
Right.
But the one I did before was in German, and it was a lot less, I would say, like successful compared to yours, because I'm really impressed with the views you get from yours. And I'm glad that people enjoy this, because like we were just finding out that we actually do enjoy podcasts ourselves. But back then I made the same mistake. I started at 6 p.m. and it went on for, I don't know, 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And like I didn't answer my phone, and so all my friends, they went on, I don't know where, and then I was like finished, and it was like after 9, I was like, okay, what do I do now? And everybody was gone, and I was like, I don't know, I need something to eat first, I'm hungry, blah, blah, blah. And so today I swore myself, no matter how nice it is, I will stop before 9 so that I can get some nightlife. I mean nightlife, I will just visit some friends probably, or do something like that, or maybe sit down and play computer games, I don't know, but something to just, to relax, to calm down, because as much as I'm enjoying this is also, to be honest, it is exciting for me. And so I know when we are done, when we are finished with this, my mind will start to really start to rattle and to think about everything. And so I need to do something else afterwards, to get onto a different train of thought. I mean, masturbating probably also is going to help, but
I've been doing it while I've been stood here. Oh God, that's thrown me now. I can't think of what I was going to say. Oh yeah. You're going out to visit friends. Do you not have a lockdown over there? Because we still have.
No, not anymore.
Oh, it's all lifted, is it? Oh, excellent.
Yeah, no, we actually it's been a while now. I think actually they lifted most of the restrictions on May the 15th.
Oh, okay.
Wow. And so yeah, the restaurants are open, the pubs are open. Although like they have a curfew, I think they have to close at 11, but they will extend it very soon, like the time. But the good news is, because I was worried that it's too early, but now since we have it for some time already, and the number of infections are still going down,
awesome.
It seems like people sticking to their distance principles and like washing their hands and everything, it seems to work because really, we have to wear masks in the supermarket or in shops or in public transport. And I'm actually convinced that it helps a lot because, I used to take public transport a lot. And I always would notice there are people on the train or tram coughing. Yep. And I'm like, because I'm kind of a, what's it called? I don't know. Is it hypochondriac in English as well? Yeah. I'm kind of like that, and so every time somebody was coughing behind me, I was like, get away from me. And so I'm sure that these masks do help because it's obvious when you have a mask, of course, if it's a shitty one, then something will still leak through. But still, it's better than those people who do like this and everything spreads. I don't know how far. Mm-hmm. And so it seems like when you take a look at the numbers that it is working. So awesome. We are allowed to go outside, and actually most of the bordering countries, they're opening they're like the neighboring countries, they're opening their borders now. So when because from 15th till 21st I'll be on holiday, but in Austria, in Tyrol actually, where they have those volume restrictions, and I don't know how loud a BMW S1000 XR is, but I'm afraid it's too loud because that's the bike I will take. But I can go to Germany, I can go to Switzerland. I mean, I probably won't Switzerland, but who knows? Because so far Italy is the only place they still have the borders closed, because especially in northern Italy they had lots of cases. Right. But the Italians are protesting, and who knows, maybe they will open up the borders to Italy as well soon. Maybe I'm able to go to Italy when I'm there. That would be the best gift ever for me if I was allowed to go back to Italy. Honestly, yes. Well, but so that means you are still in lockdown, or
we are at the moment. They've eased it, so now in England. In England, you can, I think, I should know these, you can now meet up with 6 other people. So you can meet up with at least another, is it 5 or 6 people at one time? But you still have to exercise social distancing, keep the 2 meter, blah, blah, blah. I think you're allowed unlimited travel for exercise or well-being. So obviously people are out on their bikes enjoying it. But Wales and Scotland have both not eased the restrictions yet. So you still can't cross from England into Wales or England into to Scotland or the other way. But it is easing, every couple of weeks they are easing it up as long as the infection rates continue to come down.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously we've just had there's been a whole load of protests, all around London and various cities because of George Floyd. It's George Floyd, isn't it? Yeah. The death in America. So who knows? Who knows if that's going to have an impact on the infection rates? Who knows? I don't know. But we're hoping things will ease up very soon. I know Lyndon over at Toro Adventure, they're opening up as of 1st of July. They're
I've seen that.
Custom.
That's true.
Yeah. So as soon as I can.
I think I will. I'm thinking of a comeback to Toro, hopefully somewhere in autumn. Yeah. Like early autumn or late autumn, something like that.
Nice. Well, I might see you down there, mate. Never know.
Oh, yeah, hopefully.
Right, how many more questions do we have here? Oh, God, there's still quite a few left on Instagram. What are we at here? 2 hours 13.
It's crazy. I mean, I feel honored to actually receive that many questions, because it's some part of me, of course, is scared that I'm guest here and you tell your people to ask questions, and I'm like, no question. It's like, would you be in this case? Would you be nice enough to come up with? Would you think of make up actually usernames and questions? Like, I don't know. Bongo 69 wants to know, or
I would. For you, I would, but I had no doubt in doubt in my mind that there would be plenty of questions. That's what I love about this, is that effectively, I can pick and choose who comes on here, and you know, people message me saying, "What about such and such? What about such and such?" Blah 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 blah. And I want people on here who have, well, a story to tell. So, you know, they've got something interesting to say. Someone who I'm gonna be interested in talking to, and you know, I'm not even that bothered if they're nothing to do with motorbikes, to be perfectly honest. You know, it's just, for me, it's the whole live your life thing. So I want people that have a positive approach to life and get out there and get stuff done. And, you know, people like yourself, I love creative people. And those sort of people, there will never be any shortage of questions from other people, because you've always got people's interest. Do you know what I mean? Like people always want to know things about people like you. Do you know what I mean? Like for me, people will ask me about the world side of stuff and YouTube and that, and for you, it's about YouTube and all the different bikes that you've been on, and then your creative side with the videos. So there'll never be a shortage of questions. Anyway, right? Yeah.
Although I mean that makes perfect sense. Although I know that obviously the reason why you chose me, it's because I've got a very high rank on the attractiveness meter.
Absolutely. So. You know, I'm recording this for the old bank, as they say, and it's all up there. It's all up there.
Prost.
Prost. Here we go. Paulacan, third Norwegian commenting, must be a sign. Their question, when will you join them to do some fjord carving? When are you going to Norway?
Hopefully I will be one day. I mean, it's not necessarily on my list, like the next 3 years list, but I have a good friend who went. He actually went by car, but he did a massive road trip. And he showed me all the pictures. It was like 3 hours of pictures. And I was so impressed with the diversity of the landscape. Because I thought it would be like I mean, of course, the fjords are amazing and the roads we all know are amazing. But I saw other places where I was like, wow, this is actually Norway. And like he was like, yeah, we were driving there. And then like 2 hours later, it looked like this. And I was like, wow, okay. But then I also know that I think Norway has also rather strict speed limits. Like they're enforcing them, I think, in a strict manner. So for these places, I need like a suitable bike, and it's like a big cruiser or a chopper or something like this, and then I will go. But it's difficult because I don't have any connection with Harley or Indian, and so every time I get to ride one of those, it's pure chance because my employer, 1000 PS, is testing one, and they don't need it for a day, and then I'm like, yeah, well, can I have a go? And that's it. But actually, it's exactly the same story with Switzerland. Because obviously I want to do the most famous mountain passes in Switzerland one day, but I won't do it on any other bike than a big, fat, slow cruiser, because I know that otherwise I can never go there again and I'll be broke. So,
Right, well, Harley, Indian, if you're watching this or anyone has any contacts with him, head to Schaaf's channel.
Yes.
Details are down there.
Please.
And honestly, if you want some fantastic PR material, give your models to this man and let him go to Norway.
Thank you.
Norway will blow your mind, Schaaf. Honestly, it is like the whole country was created by an artist. It is stunningly beautiful, and the biking community there is really strong. You love it. You will have the time of your life there. But it's about £85 million for one beer. And they are very hot on speeding. Paulacan also asked, your editing skills are next level. Where did you learn to do that? Where did you learn to edit?
I would say I never really learned it. It was just practice. Practice, because I started to edit videos when I was 15 years old. And so that's, maths. It's 15, 16 years ago.
Right.
And,
That was tough.
and yeah, well, I'm a little drunk, but now, I'm not good with alcohol. And so, I mean, yes, I did study media technology, where of course I learned a thing about editing or two. But still, when you study something like that, this is not where you get like a special skill set, because the whole field of media technology, it's way too big to be able to like teach the students like the neat and special tricks. Where you just get like a broad overview over the whole substance of it. And no, it's just really it's practice. And also the thing what I always told people is. I'm pretty sure that when you go and watch YouTube tutorials, or maybe even read like books about editing, like the theoretical stuff behind it, whatever it's called, I think you'll be able to reach a very decent skill level in less than a year. And because for me, I noticed that I was editing for so many years, but only when I started to do it like as a job. That was the point when I actually improved like very, very quickly, because suddenly I was editing every other day. And I was editing a lot more than what I did before, and that's how you learn, just by doing. Again, going back to keep on making stuff, and that's how you learn. Basically.
But I mean, you must add a degree of. You must be a very creative person anyway. It's not. I'm sure your creativity isn't something which has grown out of you being able to edit. You must have been a creative person who just learnt how to edit and integrated your creative skill set into your edit. Or do you?
It's interesting because for me this observation is. Most of my life, I did not recognize myself as a creative person.
Right. Yeah.
And then when I like started my studies, and I got in touch with like other people doing something like this, seeing them and what they were capable of doing, I was like, okay, there are some who are like really good at what they're doing. Like I was like, okay, they were great, but then many of them were like. And that was actually made me realize that, maybe I am a creative person after all. So then again, I was like, okay, I would admit I'm creative, I guess. But actually, it's funny because over the last couple, like the recent years, like maybe the last 2 or 3 years, I'm sometimes doubting my creativity again. Because I feel like I do need to make like more stuff in different areas.
Okay.
Like for instance, what I'm doing now is, for instance, I'm getting back into photography a lot more, and also actually not bikes, but it helps. I now have a girlfriend who likes to stand in front of the camera, so I can take portraits of her.
That's the thumbnail.
Without me. Without me feeling super shy and awkward. And so whenever I do these things, then I'm like, I see I have these ideas, and I can do that, and I can that, and then I'm like, okay, I guess that is what they would consider as being a creative person. But I don't know. I mean, overall, yes. I am creative, but I think it's also, I tend to be very hard on myself when it comes to the creative, to creating, to making stuff. And people would then also tell me like, oh, you don't need to be so hard on yourself. You're doing great. But then I always respond with, but if it weren't for that, like if I were like, soft or like, I don't know, more generous, I probably would not have managed to find a dream job like the one I do have now. Like me being hard on myself was the reason for how far I came and where I'm now. And without that, probably maybe I would have enjoyed life more. Who knows? But I would never have gotten to the place where I'm now, and now I can also start to enjoy life more. So
it's like you're your biggest critic.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then that just pushes you on to the absolute best that you can do at that time, and you're only ever going to improve. No, I get that. I totally get that. Totally get that. Right, dude, that is almost 2.5 hours. So I'm aware that you have a Friday night that you need to get out and enjoy. So Schaaf, thank you so much, mate. I really do appreciate it. We will...
Thank you.
Well,
really,
pleasure.
really.
Absolute pleasure.
For me, it's an honor. It's an honor, really.
Oh, no, I mean, we've had chats before anyway when we've had the meetups, and I always enjoy chatting to you. So, you know, this isn't work, is it? It's just us having a chat.
Definitely not. Yeah.
There's still loads of questions which we've not gone through. So, you know, if you want to come on again some other time, or if we do another meetup, if we do a meetup down at Toro, then we'll get the beer flowing, and we'll get the mics out, and we can have everybody just having a chat. And
this will me losing my job probably.
Bit of streaking around London's. Yeah. All right, dude. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. If there's anyone you want to give a shout out to, if there's anything you want to say, now is your time.
Now that you say it, yes, here's a shout out to my brother who's currently lying in hospital with a broken ankle or whatever it is, that he ruined while riding a BMX.
Oh no.
But the fun fact is that only this year he started to ride enduro, and he managed to ruin his leg while riding BMX. on the street. So that's that's terrible. Bad luck for him. I hope. The backup GoPro is still going, but the main GoPro is not.
Wow, I wonder why it's doing that.
I don't know. That's crazy. So I hope that he will be able to go back one day to his former strength, that he can again enjoy riding bicycles, enjoy riding his enduro bike. I really, really wish and hope for that.
What's your brother's name?
That's the Florin. It's like a very rare name.
Florin.
I think it's actually in Romania you would find. Yeah, it's because in Austria and Germany people would be called Florian, but he's called Florin.
Florin.
And so you can I just call him Flo. And
Flo,
so
well
Flo, exactly. Gute Besserung und das wird schon wieder.
Bless you. What you said.
So. Yeah, no worries, no bad words actually. Very nice words. But no, before I end this, once again, thanks to you, Bruce. I had a very, very great time. But also thanks to everybody who asked me questions, who asked us questions. Without you guys, we still would have a good conversation, but it might be a little bit more difficult, and we maybe need more alcohol to get it going. I don't know. But no, actually, I know from the Toro meets that we always have a great conversation.
Definitely.
And even without alcohol. And so, yes, thank you very much. And to everybody who didn't get his question answered today, I do hope that we will make another event like that happen again.
Absolutely.
So that we will come back to them.
Cool. Mate, it's an absolute pleasure.
I just realized that I forgot to clap since I turned the GoPro on again. So
do you want to try that?
So have fun editing, Bruce.
Thanks very much. Cheers. It's always fun, isn't it? Yeah, exactly what Schaaf's just said, folks. Thank you so much for all your continued support here, for all the questions. The questions really do make it, because we can always have conversation, but the questions just give it something more, don't they? And it often takes us down different lines. So please keep the questions coming on. Anyone that's not had their questions answered, then there will be part 2s and 3s and probably part 4s eventually. So keep them coming. Right, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Schaaf, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. You folks here in the UK, we're still not out yet, but it's coming. We're nearly there. Freedom, I can taste it. It's nearly there. So, folks, look after yourselves. Look after those that you love. Get on out there. Live your life. But most importantly, live your life. I mucked up the end.